Hey everybody, Sebastian DeBurs here, and today I'm sharing with you some pharma news and some quick takes from the regulatory perspective, the science perspective, the patient psychology, the finance, and the IP. And so the news today is that the US FDA approved a new drug, an oral pill version of Wegovy. So this is the GLP-1 weight loss drug of Novo Nordisk. And this used to be only available in injection form. Now it's also an oral pill. And so why is that significant? Well, I want to take you through the science. I want to take you through the patient psychology. I want to take you a little bit through the finance and also take you through the IP story of this. So Wegovy now is an oral pill, kept that same brand as the injection. And the injection was traditionally done once a week right under the skin. And it's very bioavailable. It goes right into the bloodstream. It doesn't have to be absorbed by the stomach and the gut. This pill format, on the other hand, is quite a large peptide, quite a large chain of amino acids. Not so large that it's a protein, but large enough for the stomach to need quite some digestion of this, and for the bioavailability of the drug, so how easily it enters into the bloodstream, to be quite a lot lower than the injection. And this was the big problem for the clinical trial, where people were looking at whether or not the GLP-1 oral pill would still actually work and be effective if the bioavailability and the stomach absorption was that much lower. Well, it turns out that Novo Nordisk was quite smart and added a sodium-based stomach absorption enhancer. The stomach absorption enhancer is called SNAC, no pun intended. And it basically protects the drug from the stomach acids so that it can still be absorbed in the gut. And so it doesn't completely get crushed and still enters the bloodstream quite nicely. And so the clinical trials are now done, and the result shows that on average, 17% of weight was lost by patients. Some patients actually lost up to 20% of their weight. So that result is on par with the injection. And so why do a pill, right? Why do a pill? Isn't the injection just fine? Well, this came down to a patient psychology piece. Patients don't like needles, even if the bioavailability was higher in the needle, and even if it's easier from a scientific perspective to just absorb it in the blood. It's much easier from a patient psychology and a patient use perspective to just take a daily pill than a once-a-week injection. Or at least have that option for up to millions of patients that simply don't want to be involved with needles. That's how bad needle anxiety is in our society. So the pill really provides access to many, many more people. So let's talk about the financial perspective. So Novo Nordisk is kind of a loser of 2025, lost a lot of stock value. It has a price to earnings ratio less than 20. Investors are paying about $15, $16 per dollar of earnings. And so that doesn't really project an amazing growth trajectory, right? Think about Palantir. People are paying over $500 of value per dollar of earnings, right? Eli Lilly, not a Palantir, but it is the world's first trillion-dollar pharma company. Their price to earnings ratio is over 50. I think around 55. So investors are paying about $55 for every dollar of earnings when they buy that stock. And so more than double the valuation, right? And so will this oral pill save Novo Nordisk and return it to past glory? In the short term, it did jump 10% in value of the stock, but in the long term, it will probably not, because Eli Lilly is also entering into the market with an oral drug soon. It's already in late stage trials, and just like with the injection, it will bring competition, and so it probably won't in the long term help the company. But it will help patients. It will bring new options available to them, and with this competition, the price will also be lower than if just one company owned it. So now finally on the patent perspective, how come Novo Nordisk wasn't able to just completely patent the GLP-1 space, or Eli Lilly or another company? How come there's so much competition in this space? Well, pharma IP law allows you to patent a molecule. It allows you to patent a dosage. It allows you to patent a formulation. It allows you to patent a use, but it doesn't allow you to patent the entire concept. If you want to keep the entire concept under wraps, you'd have to have a trade secret that doesn't get leaked. That's very difficult in an open scientific domain like GLP-1, where the secret's out. And so companies were able to patent and carve out their own distinct, slightly different molecule, slightly different use, slightly different dosage, slightly different formulation, and that's why there's so much competition. So that was the FDA, that was the patient story, the science, the psychology, that was the financial and the stock view, and also the IP view on the new GLP-1 oral drug.